Well, all right, all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. It is your buddy CJ here, and tonight we're talking about all things automotive industry, the car guy hobby, cars, all those things that the real gearheads love talking about. You know this is the place to be for that real gearhead talk. Welcome back to all my subscribers. You know your buddy CJ loves and appreciates each and every one of you. If you're new around here, give me a like and subscribe. We talk about cars, people, on this channel. The car guy hobby, the automotive enthusiast hobby, what's going on with manufacturers, automotive events, you name it. We have a heck of a lot of fun doing it too. And listen, we just love interacting. Leave me those comments and follow me on the Insta, Hot Seat Gearheads. Let's get right into it. Guys, tonight we got some big news. Let me tell you something. Ford Mustang. Are you kidding me? Anytime a new Ford Mustang is introduced, okay, a new trim package, a new model, right? That's big news. The Ford heritage for the Mustang, the brand, runs deep, okay? Ford Mustang is more than just a car, guys. This is actually an element of our hobby when you think about it. This is life for some people. Like, seriously. Ford Mustang guys, you know, the love for the Mustang, the love for the cars, the love for the racing heritage, the love for, you know, Ford versus Ferrari and Carroll Shelby and all the things going back to the 60s, that runs deep. It's a multi-generational aspect of our hobby, okay? So, you know, roots run deep for Ford Mustang. I myself have owned a bunch of Mustangs. I'm ready. I'm always in the market for one. And we're going to talk about tonight the Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what it is. Let's talk about kind of where its roots come from. Let's talk about what it means in the market. Let's make some predictions about what sort of impact this car is going to have. I'm going to tell you what I think about it. But most importantly, fellas, are you ready? Is this thing on? Listen, I want to hear what you think, cuz. You got to give me those comments. You guys got to let me know what you think about the Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC Supercharged. Are you kidding me? Let's get right into it. First things first, you know, on Hot Seat Automotive Podcast, look, we're going to take a look at it first together. And let's go. So what are we talking about here, guys? Let's start at the top of the house. Okay, we're talking about 2026 Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC. SC stands for Supercharged, okay? And we're talking about 5.2 liter supercharged engine, the Predator. Okay, this is not a Coyote. This engine has more in common with the GTD, Ford Mustang GTD, $300,000 to $400,000 Mustang supercar, okay, has this same foundational power plant architecture, okay? Now, this car, we're talking about somewhere between 700 and 800 horsepower. This is all kind of breaking news, folks. We don't know exactly what the specs are going to be. She's going to have a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. So no manual, which I think is a mistake. Is this thing on? There, I said it. I think it's a mistake. We'll get into that in a moment, okay? Now, take a look at the car, look at the styling, look at the aesthetics, and I'm going to give you some other facts here, and we're going to start getting into kind of what I think about this car. Guys, let's take a look at it from the rear view. Okay, guys, right off the bat, look at those tailpipes. Kind of vertical, diagonal. Vertical, diagonal. How do you like that? They're not round, they're kind of rectangular, diagonal. Listen, we're having fun tonight. You know, it's a different look on those tailpipes. You know, you're probably either going to love it or hate it. Let me know what you think in the comments. But very distinctive, I think, on the Dark Horse SC. You know, you'll make no mistake when you see this when they start hitting the streets, okay? Now, having said that, we all know the Mustang community. Mustang community is big on mods. So chances are, if you Mustang guys, and I'm one of you, okay, if the community likes this, we're going to see it in the aftermarket. I think it's kind of cool and disruptive. I'm more of a round tailpipe guy than this kind of, you know, diagonal, you know, rectangle thing, the vertical exhaust pipes, if you will. But I don't know. What do you guys think? It's kind of different. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, guys. This car is going to share the same architecture foundations as the previous generation GT500. Okay. And that's probably the elephant in the room that we have to talk about. Okay. When I see this car, right, as a dark horse supercharged, and, it's, head and shoulders above from a performance standpoint where the regular dark horse is, no doubt, and far above and beyond a GT. Having said that, it's at its core, it's kind of a continuation of the GT500. And I think that's important. That's not a bad thing, guys. But what I'll tell you is I think it's going to be fascinating to watch how the Mustang community reacts in response to this. Dark Horse is a new badge, a new brand, a new identity for Mustang. Okay? Just over the past couple of years, right? And I liked it because it was kind of disruptive. A lot of guys weren't nuts about it that I talked to, a lot of my friends. Now, having said that, the Carroll Shelby GT500, GT350 heritage goes back decades. Decades. So you almost have two competing schools of thought here from Ford Racing, formerly Ford Performance. The one school of thought, guys, in my opinion, is, let's take advantage of that Shelby GT500 heritage. That anything you put that Shelby GT350 or GT500 badge on is going to grab the attention of the guys, dare I say the Gen Xers or the boomers. If you're age 40 to 70, you're big on that heritage. You know what I'm saying? You grew up with it, okay? If you're a millennial or a Gen Zer, I'm not saying it's not as important to you, but it's probably less important, okay? You didn't grow up with the intensity of that deep and rich history of Shelby. So what do I think? It's almost a tale of two brand identities. The Ford Racing executives, I don't know if they're right or wrong, fellas. You tell me. I think they want a new identity, the dark horse, right? This is something new and exciting for Ford. And I think it's a big bet. They're putting a lot of chips on the table. Whereas the more conservative approach, I think, here would have been, look, it's basically a continuation and an evolution of the previous generation GT500 with some cool updates and enhancements, no doubt. I'm not poo-pooing that, including some technology innovations from the GTD program. But if we slap a GT500 Shelby badge on it, that's immediately going to garner a lot of love and attention and interest from the hardcore legacy Mustang guys. It just is, okay? Will the Dark Horse brand endear itself the same way to Mustang guys? And I want to hear from you. Again, I think it's kind of cool and interesting as a new badge, a new model designation, a new trim package, but it's going to be fascinating to watch. And me being, a bit more conservative as a business guy, dare I say, if I was making those calls, I'd probably lean more towards let's leverage that heritage of Shelby GT500, GT350, what have you. Okay. But the executives have made their decision, and we'll see if they're right or wrong. Now, a couple other things about this car, and look, I want to show you guys a couple of other things. Look, going all the way back, the original GT500s. This is what I'm talking about. Roots run deep in Mustang heritage. This is more than a car. This is, Mustang can be seen as a lifestyle brand. This is a generational aspect of our hobby. The original GT500s, all those things. When you put a GT500 badge on a Mustang, okay, that's a big deal for Mustang guys. That means something very specific. That Shelby heritage, right? And we're kind of closing the door on that, maybe forever. I don't know. What do you guys think? But I know for me, I kind of like the consistency in the heritage of the Shelby branding through the years, through the models, through the generations. And, is it a miss by Ford, or is this big bet to go with the dark horse and now the dark horse Supercharged? Is it going to pay off for a whole new generation in our hobby? And look, I'm a realist, right? If it does and it's magnetic and it takes off, fabulous, right? I think that's really cool. I know guys that have actually driven the dark horses love them, and they say it's a very track capable car. Okay. I do hear criticisms that, well, for what you pay for a dark horse, CJ, it's not worth it. Well, that's all relative, right? Who would have thought there'd be a $300,000, $400,000 Mustang GTD available? It's just wild, right? A supercar Mustang. Base model Ford Mustang GT. Listen, you can get into a brand new 2026 Ford Mustang GT with a heck of a lot of performance, a heck of a lot of fun for $45,000 to $48,000, right? $50,000. You get into a GTD for around $60,000. I'm sorry. You get into a dark horse for around $64,000. This new Mustang dark horse SC, they haven't announced official pricing yet, guys. Okay? So here it is again. Ford Mustang dark horse SC Supercharged. No official pricing yet. If I were a betting man, if I were a gambling man, let's estimate somewhere between $90K to $125K, depending on your options. Are you going to go for heavy carbon fiber wheels, track pack, special edition? How are you going to option this car? I could easily see this being in that 120K, 100K, 120K realm, maybe a little bit more. This car is going to go head to head with Corvette Z06 buyers. This is an extremely track focused car. I do think that not having a manual transmission was a mistake, because I claim that would have been a real differentiator. If they could have brought the Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC to market with a manual transmission, 3 pedals. Listen, what do I hear from Corvette buyers all the time? CJ, we want 3 pedals. We want a manual in the C8. We want a manual Z06 again, right? And I think you could have stolen some of that market share, Ford, from the Corvette market if you introduced this car with a manual transmission. So I claim that was kind of a miss. Whether or not the Dark Horse branding and the Dark Horse SC branding is going to prove to be a positive experiment against branding this as a GT500 continuation or evolution, to be determined. But not having a manual transmission, I think might hurt some of the adoption. What do you guys think? You let me know. Guys, I got to say what needs to be said. Fellas, I got to say what needs to be said about the new Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC. Are we just going to act like this thing doesn't look like a Camaro from the front? Come on, man. I'm not a hater. I'm not throwing shade on Mustang guys. I've owned many Mustangs over the years. Hell, I just sold one. But guys, I got to tell you, this thing echoes and reminds me of the previously discontinued Camaro. It looks like a ZL1 quick glance. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. But it bothers me. Why does it bother me? Growing up as a Ford Mustang Camaro guy, automotive enthusiast, into Mopars and into all kinds of things, muscle car era, it was always cool to have distinctive attributes between your Mustang and your Camaro, okay? And then later, your Charger, your Challenger. But over the years, seeing like this homogenous blend of styling between Camaro and Mustang, come on, man. And I know the Camaro is long gone, okay? The Mustang is the survivor. Mustang wins, right? I'm not going to argue that. What I am going to argue is, come on, Ford. This thing looks like a Camaro from the front. And if you don't see it, are you even in this hobby, bro? Like, I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong, guys. Now, I'm also going to come clean with you. I want one of these cars. Hell, I might snag one. You can place your order for your Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC. Order banks apparently open in spring 2026. Your buddy CJ might try to snag one, but it kind of bothers me that from the front, going down the road, maybe I need glasses. Does this thing look like a Camaro ZL1? Maybe. You tell me. Guys, another consideration, Mustang fellows, tell me if you agree with me. If I'm in the market for a hot Mustang, there are so many options. Are we just going to act like the previous generation GT500 doesn't exist? Mamma mia, look at this thing. It's a beautiful, hot, supercharged Mustang. It's got that Shelby badge. Look at a Cobra. Look at a snake on the front. GT500. Are you kidding me? Now, again, it's got very similar platform to the new Dark Horse, okay, SC, but I kind of like the Shelby Heritage. What do you guys think? And listen, you can snag one of these probably between $70K and $100K, depending on mileage. Do you want a showpiece with like 0 miles on it, 400 miles on it? Or do you want one that's maybe got 10, 20,000 miles on it, 30,000 miles on it? You can pick these up, right? And it's a beast, 700 plus horsepower, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. These were not available with a manual either. You'd have to go with the previous generation GT350 to get that manual transmission in a Shelby car. But there's more I want to present to you guys as options. So again, if you're seriously thinking about a Dark Horse SC, don't you have to think about this car? Like, here's another example of an absolutely incredible Shelby GT500 branded Ford Mustang, like a 2007, 2008. Incredible machine, right? Available with 3 pedals, manual transmission. You're not going to spend 120 to 130K for one of these, depending on spec and trim and all those things, and mileage and year. You can snag one of these 50K to 80K, somewhere in there. And listen, you're going to have about as much fun, and you're truly embracing, and you're a part of that Shelby heritage. That's such a big part of this hobby. And I claim that may be a miss with the Dark Horse SC. Because when I look at this car with those stripes, with the Cobra, okay, with the Shelby, the GT500 branding, it just harkens back over the decades to that Ford Mustang heritage going way back. And I love that. And most Mustang guys love that. Dark Horse is something new and disruptive and different. Is it going to endear itself to the Mustang community? I don't know yet. So another question here is, with all the options out there in the market for super high performance cars, and let's just distill it down to the classic battle, right? Chevy versus Ford and Mopar. Which would you go with? We're on the cusp of maybe seeing the return of the Hemi, the return of the Hellcat, V8 supercharged, okay? There's some high performance new Dodges, but, a used Hellcat. How about a used Camaro ZL1? Okay, how about a Corvette Z06, C8, or C7? Which direction would you go? Would you go with a previous generation Mustang GT500 or 3 pedals in a GT350? Okay, or are you a guy who's going to buy a Mustang GT and build the heck out of it? Put your own Whipple on it. Put your own supercharger on it. Dual snails, dual turbochargers. Come on. Fellas, tell me where it's at. Are you bought in on the new Mustang Dark Horse SC? Big money, new Mustang, 800 horsepower. She's coming to a street near you in a dealership. Your buddy CJ might put his hat in the ring, but I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about it? Fellas, enough out of me for tonight. Your buddy CJ loves you. Until I see you on the next one, God bless, peace, and I'll see you on the road.